Good evening and welcome to News Night. I'm Amritpal Singh. Over the next 1 hour, we'll talk about what's happening around the world and in the country in the day just gone by. We'll talk about the situation in Afghanistan. For the second time, the Taliban postponed announcement of the new government in Afghanistan. We'll talk about what are the reasons behind it, what's holding up the formation of the government. Their spokesperson, Zabiullah Mujahid, said that the government could now be announced next week. Meanwhile, intense fighting is going on in the Panjshir Valley. There are claims and counterclaims of Panjshir having fallen. In fact, the Taliban, came out with some celebratory fire in which 17 people were killed and over 41 injured in Kabul. But the resistance forces have denied and said they very much control Panjshir, and they've made claims of having inflicted losses on the Taliban fighters and the Taliban militia. Here in the country, the historic Karbic Anglong agreement was signed. What is this agreement? How could it bring peace and prosperity to Assam and protect its territorial integrity? We'll talk about that and much more over the next 1 hour. First up, the headlines we're tracking at this hour. Historic Karbic Anglong agreement signed. Agreement to end decades-old crisis, ensuring Assam's territorial integrity. With this pact, over 1,000 armed cadres have abjured violence and joined the mainstream of society. Home Minister Amit Shah says the agreement will bring peace and prosperity in Assam. Home Minister terms the Karbic agreement as another milestone in Prime Minister Modi's vision of insurgency-free and prosperous Northeast. Says the day will be written in golden letters in Assam's history. Modi government to give a special development package worth 1,000 crore rupees for the development of the Karbic areas. Taliban postponed the formation of Afghanistan government for the second time. Government now to be announced next week. Fighting rages on in Panjshir even as Taliban fighters claim that Panjshir Valley has fallen. 17 killed, 41 injured in celebratory gunfire by Taliban in Kabul. One of the resistance leaders in the valley, Amarullah Saleh, dismisses report that Taliban had captured Panjshir. Hurricane Ida rages through at least 4 states in northeast United States, triggering torrential rains and flash floods. The death toll rises to 44 amid widespread destruction. India continues its juggernaut at the Tokyo Paralympics, picking up 4 medals on the penultimate day. Shooter Manish Narwal smashes Paralympic record to clinch India's 3rd gold, while Singraj Adhana bagged silver to make a sensational 1-2 finish. Shuttler Pramod Bhagat clinches gold. Manoj Sarkar bags bronze. Prime Minister Modi speaks to the athletes, congratulates all 4. Youth and Sports Affairs Minister Anurag Thakur felicitates Tokyo Paralympics silver medalist high jumper Mariyappan Thangavelu and his coach Raja B. Says Mariyappan has made the country proud with his performance. And our top story, the Taliban have postponed the government formation for a second time after they took control of Afghanistan last month. Taliban spokesperson Zabiullah Mujahid on Saturday said that the announcement about the new government and the new cabinet will now be made next week. The Taliban on Saturday postponed the formation of the new government in Afghanistan for next week. Taliban spokesman Zabiullah Mujahid announced this on Saturday as the Taliban struggles to give shape to a broad-based and inclusive administration acceptable to the international community. The insurgent group was expected to announce on Saturday the formation of the new government in Kabul, likely to be led by the outfit's co-founder Mullah Abdul Ghani Baradar. This is the second time that the Taliban have delayed the formation of the new government in Kabul since they seized Kabul on August 15th. Meanwhile, US Secretary of State Antony Blinken will travel to Qatar on Saturday to meet with the country's leaders. Blinken said the State Department is in constant contact with Americans remaining in Afghanistan who still wish to leave the country.
We continue to maintain channels of communication with the Taliban on issues that are important to us. starting with the commitment to let people leave Afghanistan should they choose to do so.
UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab said that Britain must deal with new realities in Afghanistan as it seeks to secure the safe passage of UK nationals and Afghans who have worked for Britain.
We're focused on adjusting to the new reality that we face in Afghanistan. There are two particular priorities. One is making sure we can continue the safe passage out of Afghanistan of British nationals and Afghans that worked for us. That may be possible via Kabul airport in the near future. I've been to Qatar to discuss that.
Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla said in a limited engagement that India has had with the Taliban, the new Afghan rulers have indicated that they would positively address New Delhi's concerns.
We have a very robust conversation. But for whatever conversations we've had so far, I mean, they've been sort of, at least the Taliban seem to indicate that they will be reasonable in the way they handle it.
Meanwhile, the United Nations has convened an international aid conference in Geneva on September 13th to help avert a looming humanitarian catastrophe in the war-torn country. Bureau Report, DD India. And at least 17 people were killed in celebratory gunfire by the Taliban in Kabul today after Taliban sources said that their fighters had seized control of Panjshir, the last province in Afghanistan holding out against the Islamist group. Leaders of the resistance forces in Panjshir have denied that the province has fallen.
The fate of Panjshir Valley hangs in balance as conflicting reports are coming in. The Taliban has claimed that the valley has fallen, but former Vice President Amrullah Saleh says that their fighters are resisting. Meanwhile, heavy fighting continues in the final holdout against Taliban control and casualties in the Panjshir Valley. Video filmed by Taliban militants appeared to show militants on the outskirts of Panjshir Valley in Afghanistan. The undated video showed Humvees adorned with Taliban flag on the mountaintops close to the village of Golbahar in Kapisa, on the border close to the southern end of the Panjshir Valley. Former Vice President Amrullah Saleh, one of the leaders of the opposition forces, told Tolo News television station that reports he had fled the country were lies.
There is no doubt we are in difficult situation. We are under invasion by the Taliban. We have held the ground. We have resisted. We will not surrender. We are standing for Afghanistan.
Taliban sources said that the militia had on Friday seized the Panjshir Valley north of Kabul. Independently, it is not yet confirmed, but deafening volleys of celebratory gunfire resounded all over Kabul, and Facebook accounts were full of mentions of the fall of Panjshir.
Praise to God, Panjshir was captured, only Panjshir remained, and I hope all Muslims are comfortable.
The traditional anti-Taliban stronghold Panjshir is home to somewhere between 150,000 and 2 lakh people and is hidden behind the mountain peaks. The resistance, which includes former Afghan security force members and local militias, is led by local tribal leader Ahmad Masood. His father successfully fought the Soviets who invaded in the 1980s and the Taliban in the 1990s. Bureau Report, DD India.
And that brings to our In Focus tonight. Our In Focus tonight is no government yet in Kabul. Fighting rages on in Panjshir. That's our In Focus tonight. No government yet in Kabul. Fighting rages on in Panjshir. And to talk about that, I'm joined by Mohan Kumar, former senior diplomat, and he's the chairman of the RIS, and also Lieutenant General retired Syed Ata Hasnain. He's a former commander of the 15 Corps of the Indian Army. Both gentlemen, thank you for joining in. First to you, Ambassador. The question that everybody wishes to know the answer to: what is holding up the Taliban announcing the government in Kabul?
Thank you very much for having me on the show. I think symbolically and optically, Panjshir Valley would have to come under complete control of Taliban, because then Taliban can then go on to form a government by claiming that the entire country is under their control. So in my view, that is what is the primary reason for Taliban not forming the government. The second reason could be actually there is a bit of jostling for power among the various factions in Taliban. We tend to think of Taliban as a monolithic entity. It's not. So there could also be a fair degree of jostling. For example, the amount of representation that should be given to the Haqqani faction, for example, which is a more radical faction, if you like. So there could be claims and counterclaims that's going on. And you have to remember that Taliban is actually in the business of forming a government now. They don't have a whole lot of experience in this kind of bargaining. What they're used to doing is really conduct guerrilla tactics and gain territory. Now, this is in the realm of political bargaining, and you will have to give them more time. But I still maintain the primary reason is the unexpected, unprecedented resistance from Panjshir Valley.
Okay. General Hasnain, Ambassador Kumar says that the Taliban are waiting for Panjshir to fall. They want to take over Panjshir and then be the claimants of whole of Afghanistan, the legitimate government of Afghanistan. And this is what is holding up. Why is government formation in Kabul? Why is Panjshir so important for the Taliban?
Thank you, Amrit. Thank you for having me on your program. And compliments to the Ambassador Mohan. I entirely agree with and endorse what he says. But I would give greater importance to what he said second. The aspect about the Taliban not being a monolith, there being too many power centers within the Taliban, not having enough experience in this kind of a business of compromises and, getting together, having a consensus. They are quite used to normally getting their way through. Most of the personalities, strong personalities who have tribal loyalties and things of that kind. But when it comes to the Panjshir, he makes a very important point that the Taliban would definitely like to see the whole of Afghanistan under their control. Now, I'm not so sure as to what is going to ultimately happen in Panjshir. The indicators we're getting from different sources are that the Pakistanis are involved, for example, which I think is a little far-fetched at the moment, but that the Taliban is almost on the mountaintops overlooking the Panjshir Valley, most of the urban areas of the Panjshir Valley. I personally feel that unless the Panjshir Valley resistance has got an outlet through the area like Badkashan towards Tajikistan, like they had when the nine-party alliance was in resistance at that time, it will be very difficult for them to last. And perhaps that is exactly what the Taliban is probably anticipating. That this is a brave resistance going on, and that's about all. It's a matter of time before it falls. How much time will it take is anybody's guess. Because they've got a fair amount of fighters with them. They have the basic logistics, they've got the weaponry with them, and there's no shortage of courage. So, whatever is happening at the moment may take a week, 10 days, 15 days, 2 weeks more. So I'm not sure whether the Taliban would like to wait for that long for the sake of the Panjshir Valley. But that also brings us to the fact that this is going to be a major problem for the rest of the world also. Once the Taliban has formed a government and the Panjshir resistance is on, let's say hypothetically, should they be looking at supporting the Taliban government? Or should they be actually looking at supporting the resistance? The resistance is, after all, supposedly still the official government of Afghanistan. It has not really been de-recognized. Still continues to remain the government of Afghanistan. So this is going to be a bit of a paradox for the international community, a bit of a dilemma as to how to really handle it at that stage.
Okay. Ambassador Kumar, if the Taliban take over Panjshir militarily, as General Hasnain is saying that it's a matter of time, because of the reports coming out of there do indicate that they've been surrounded from all sides, and the situation is very different from when Ahmad Shah Massoud fought the Russians. He still had the Badakhshan corridor and there was access. Now that access has been cut off, so sooner or later, I mean, you can't win a war just on courage. You need resources. The international situation, the geopolitics does not support. No country is coming out and openly supporting them, so to speak. if they take Panjshir militarily, would the Tajiks support the Taliban? Would it really be a representative government that they are talking about?
I think the first point is I agree with the general that it looks bad, and as you rightly say, it could be a matter of time, but it may also be worth bearing in mind that if somehow the Masood forces, the anti-Taliban militants, if they can hold up till October, then the winter sets in, and then they get a 4-month gap, because in winter, Panjshir becomes really cut off and they can manage to hold out. So I would add that caveat. I agree with the general. I think it looks bad. I agree with you also that it may be a matter of time, but I also think it's just a matter of a month or a month and a half, and then they can manage to hold out Panjshir. Now, the other question that you ask about the position of Tajikistan is very, very interesting. My sense is Tajikistan will hold out, and it will remain to be seen whether Taliban will accommodate the Tajiks. Tajiks constitute 25% of the population of Afghanistan, and there has been a long history of resistance from Panjshir against Kabul, whether it was the Soviet invasion or earlier Taliban. They have always fought against outsiders or what they think are Pashtun forces. They are non-Pashtun. So it's not going to be easy, and one will have to wait and see how Taliban try and accommodate the Tajiks in the government. I don't know if that is responsible for the delay, but as the general said earlier, and I completely agree, that there are lots of hard-headed negotiations going on. I may also wish to point out to your audience that a lot of international meetings are also coming up. The Secretary General of the UN is hosting a meeting for refugees. Anthony Blinken is in Qatar tomorrow, and he's going to be talking to Qatar, which actually has been playing an extraordinarily important role as a go-between for Taliban and the international community. And Tony Blinken then goes to Germany, and there he's got a ministerial meeting of 20 countries. So a lot of multilateral meetings are also going on, and I would say the role of Qatar will be extremely important and is worth watching for the purposes of a formation of a government in Kabul by Taliban.
What are these international meetings? What could these international meetings yield? A more representative, a more diverse government, which includes the various minorities or the tribes of Afghanistan? Ambassador Kumar?
I think Taliban this time, what is being described as Taliban 2.0, is seeking recognition and legitimacy from the government. The previous Taliban couldn't care less, but this Taliban, as I think they're desperate to get their hands on the funds, the dollars which have been frozen by the international community. Otherwise, the people of Afghanistan have gotten so used to some kind of governance that they will not be quite happy to go back to the pre-Taliban or the Taliban 1.0. So I do believe Taliban is susceptible to international pressure to form as inclusive a government as possible. I would also agree with the general that the Pakistani ISI chief is in Kabul. I don't know the kind of influence Pakistan has. My sense is it's a double-edged sword. I don't buy this theory that Pakistan has unlimited influence on Taliban. I would rather that the Taliban is trying their best to tell the international community and the world at large that we are different. This is not the Taliban that used to be in power 20 years ago.
Okay. General Hassan, I want to ask you a straight-pointed question to which Ambassador Kumar referred to. What is the DGISI doing in Kabul?
That is the million-dollar question of today, actually. I do feel that Pakistan's stakes are very high. And as very correctly said by Ambassador Mohan, that the Taliban 2.0 does not want to be seen to be in the embrace of Pakistan the way Taliban 1.0 is. There is no denying of the fact that the Taliban, all the elements of the Taliban were hosted by Pakistan, supported by Pakistan, and Pakistan is looking for its, its pound of flesh in this particular moment, because it feels that it has supported them for the last 20 years, and now this is the time when they can actually, their strategic depth, the so-called strategic depth, need not be physical. The strategic depth is also very much in terms of its relationship with the government of Afghanistan. So Pakistan is seeking to maximize its gains. This seems to be a above board kind of a visit by the DGISI. I have no doubts that the DGISI has been in and out of Kabul many times in the recent past. But he's now up front, he's coming up and he's showing the confidence Pakistan is attempting to project itself. It's important for it to show it. It's important for it to show the world. With all these conferences going on, which Ambassador Mohan just spoke about, the international conferences going on, Pakistan must be seen to be the main player, one of the major players. Otherwise, it just loses out in this whole game. So I think the DDISI's visit, more than anything, is about optics. And besides, of course, the fact that they have friends among the Taliban, there will be lots of consultations and things like that going on, and they definitely would want a hands-on kind of a feedback from the various elements on how the government formation is going. Because what I learned and what we learned from the media itself at the moment is that one of the things the ISI is looking for, one of the things that Pakistan is seeking is an enhanced role for the Haqqani network. Particularly, they would like the Haqqani network to actually assume the military formation. After all, Afghanistan is going to have an army. That army, which was earlier the Afghan National Security Forces, will get converted now, and they would definitely want some element of influence of the Haqqani network, because that's the network in which Pakistan seems to have the maximum influence itself. So this visit is all about influence, about getting into it, and a lot of optics to show the world that Pakistan has its control over things.
Okay. Ambassador Kumar, what do the Pakistanis want in Afghanistan? What do we mean by when we use or hear this term strategic influence? They want strategic influence in Afghanistan. Do they just want the Indians out of the game in Afghanistan? Is it limited just to that? Or they want greater influence over Kabul through whatever instruments that they have, the Haqqani network, or whatever amount of influence they bear upon the Taliban?
Is an interesting question. The Pakistanis want and are seeking strategic depth in Afghanistan. They use the term strategic depth. And strategic depth is supposed to mean that if India attacks Pakistan, they can seek refuge in Afghanistan, and for that and for the strategic depth doctrine to be successful.
I think I've lost the link with Ambassador Kumar. Let me go to General Hasnan. General Hasnan, let me pose the same question to you and understand from you, what do the Pakistanis mean by strategic depth? Do they just want the Indians out, or do they want to use, say, the Taliban's militia for attacking India or anti-India activities, say, in Kashmir?
The father of this term, strategic depth, in Afghanistan is General Mirza Aslam Beg, an ex-former army chief, in whose time the whole Kashmir issue came up from 89, when the initiation of the proxy war in Kashmir started. Mirza Aslam Beg was the chief, and he is the one who enunciated this whole principle, the doctrine of strategic depth in Afghanistan. You see, there are many connotations of it. Strategic depth from a standpoint, from a military standpoint, is the first thing, and that is essentially space. Pakistan has got a comparatively limited depth in terms of space, military space, and would definitely want an extended area from where it could perhaps keep many of its assets in some of the airfields in Afghanistan, perhaps partially out of reach of aircraft from India, fighter aircraft from India, many other administrative installations, ammunition dumps, and things like that, training camps. Many of the training camps which have been used for training terrorists for infiltration into Jammu and Kashmir in the heyday, in the 90s, used to be in Afghanistan. They were not really on Pakistani territory. Then denial was much easier with that.
Right.
So there's a physical element to it. But to my mind, I look at it greatly from a strategic point of view. It is also a mental thing, a psychological thing. You have support, you have influence there among the fighters, you have influence on the men under arms in Afghanistan, whoever is the Afghan army, the government of Afghanistan and all its resources. You are the virtual convener, the sponsor of everything that is happening in Afghanistan. That also contributes to strategic depth. It adds oodles to your confidence. And therefore, preventing India from getting there from the other side, from the rear side, the maneuver from the rear is prevented.
Okay.
You know, all those consulates we had, which had been opened up in Kandahar and Herat and places like that, those are denied completely. That's also a part of strategic depth. So because they always suspect that India would utilize that route to maneuver, pressurize Pakistan from the western borders, interfere in matters in Balochistan and things like that. All the denial of that is also a part of strategic depth.
All right. General Hussain, then my last question to you, and I would want a short response from you because I'm running out of time. How concerned should India be?
Well, and I'll be very short on this. Taliban 1.0 was different. Taliban 2.0 is shown to seem to be different, appears to be. Time will of course tell. It doesn't appear that the Taliban 2.0 is going to be under such extensive control of Pakistan. And already we are seeing invitations to come back and establish the embassy, finding a Pakistan exile, for example, making overtures and coming over to the Indian embassy. These are early signs, but you have to read these signs correctly. And over a period of time, when we see the attitude, what is in the interest of the Taliban at this time to take up cudgels on behalf of Pakistan, or in any way to seek an enmity with India, to interfere in Kashmir? Nothing of the sort. If they still maintain their old ideology, Islamization, leadership of the Islamic Ummah, etc., then it's going to be a different ball game completely. But at the moment, the indicators appear to show that they are looking more for international recognition. They're looking more for their own legitimacy. They're looking for funding. And those are the kind of things that they are looking at. And though that approach, surely India is not going to be one of those countries that they would like to have in adversity.
All right. General Sayyidat Sunan, we leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us and sharing your insights with us this evening. Thank you. And moving on, after Bodo, Bru and NLFT agreements, the historic Karbic Anglong Accord was signed in New Delhi on Saturday. The top priority of the Modi government accorded to the peace and prosperity of the Northeast has led to this development, and talking with all insurgent groups of Northeast has had a visible impact. Nearly 1,000 cadres have abjured violence and have joined the mainstream. This agreement was signed in the presence of the Union Home Minister Amit Shah in New Delhi on Saturday evening.
The all-round development of Northeast and peace and prosperity has been a top priority of the Narendra Modi government, and to end the decades-old crisis ensuring Assam's territorial integrity, the historic Karbic Anglong agreement was signed on Saturday. 5 organizations of the Karbic Anglong region as well as representatives of Assam government and the centre signed the agreement in the presence of Union Home Minister Amit Shah. The event was attended by Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma and Union Ayush Minister Sarbananda Sonowal. Union Home Minister Amit Shah said that after the formation of the government, Northeast has not only been an area of focus for PM Modi, but all-round development of Northeast, peace and prosperity there has been the top priority. He said that historic Karbic Anglong agreement will be written in golden letters in the history of Assam.
4 सितंबर 2021 ये दिन असम और कार्बिक क्षेत्र के इतिहास में सुवर्णमयी अक्षरों के साथ निश्चित रूप से लिखा जाएगा, क्योंकि आज 5 से अधिक संगठनों के लगभग 1000 कैडर ने हथियार डालकर मेन स्ट्रीम में आने की शुरुआत करी है और उनके पुनर्वसन के लिए असम सरकार और भारत सरकार पूर्णतया कटिबद्ध है.
The organizations which signed the agreement include People's Democratic Council of Karbi Longri, Karbi Longri North Kachar Hills Liberation Front, Karbi People's Liberation Tigers, Kuki Liberation Front and United People's Liberation Army. According to the provisions of the agreement, Karbi Welfare Council will be set up. The Karbic Anglong Autonomous Council to be given more legislative, executive, administrative and financial powers. All these organizations will be brought back to the mainstream. Amit Shah said that around 1,000 cadres have joined the mainstream shunning arms. He said Centre and Assam government are fully committed to their rehabilitation. He said Assam government will spend around 1,000 crore rupees for development of Karbi region in the next 5 years. He said the government has met more than 80% of the conditions in the 3 agreements already signed in the northeast. He assured that the government will fully implement this agreement as well.
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, आसाम सरकार और भारत सरकार के गृह विभाग की ओर से आपको संपूर्ण रूप से भरोसा दिलाना चाहता हूं कि आप जो भारत सरकार के साथ, असम सरकार के साथ समझौता किए हैं, ये इस क्षेत्र के शांति और विकास के लिए मुख्य कारण बनने वाला है और समझौते की सारी शर्तों का हम बहुत अच्छे तरीके से, समयबद्ध तरीके से पालन करेंगे.
The organizations which signed this accord with the officials of the Karbic Anglong Autonomous Council termed this as historic.
इसका बारे में हम लोग खुश हैं. कार्बी आंगलोंग वासियों को हम ये आशा देता हूँ, हम लोग जितना ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है पीस के लिए आया हूँ, होम मिनिस्टर जी ने आशा दिया था, वो हम लोग पूरा का पूरा विश्वास है, जो जितना हम लोग एक और जो पॉइंट का पॉइंट है वो फुलफिल होगा, वो इस के बारे में हम लोग बहुत का अच्छा है.
पीस तो होना ही है, क्योंकि बिना पीस तो आदमी आगे नहीं बढ़ पाएगा. तो इस पर हम लोग विश्वास करता है.
It's a great achievement for people of Karbic Anglong. It's a very historic day, and we are overwhelmed with the initiative of the Home Minister, Sri Amit Shah ji, and then our Honorable Chief Minister of Assam, Sri Himanta Biswa Sarma ji.
Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma, as well as former State Chief Minister and present Union Minister Sarbananda Sonowal, welcomed this decision and termed it historic.
असम शांति का ओर आगे बढ़ेगा इस अकॉर्ड से. असम का लोग हमेशा प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी और गृह मंत्री अमित शाह जी को हमेशा याद करेगा. हमारा जनजातीय लोग हमेशा याद करेगा कि आपने जो सब लोगों को जैसा प्यार दिया है, मोहब्बत दिया है, ये हमारे लिए बहुत ही बड़ा एक्सपीरियंस है.
कार्बी आंगलोंग में स्थायी शांति व्यवस्था लागू किया जाएगा. प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी को मैं विशेष रूप से धन्यवाद देना चाहता हूं.
In the past few years, the Narendra Modi government at the centre has concluded 3 key agreements for peace in the northeast. And this includes the Bru Agreement, Bodoland Agreement, as well as pact with NLFT of Tripura. And this just concluded agreement will prove to be a milestone towards peace and prosperity of northeast. With Sudhakar Das, Bureau Report, DD India.
And Home Minister Amit Shah on Saturday addressed the 51st Foundation Day celebrations of the Bureau of Police Research and Development, or the BPRD. Home Minister felicitated a number of police personnel for their outstanding services. Speaking on the occasion, the Home Minister said that various government initiatives taken during the last 7 years in various parts of the country, including the Northeast and Jammu and Kashmir.
जो चुनौतियां होती हैं वो देश के परिप्रेक्ष्य में आती है. सरकारें होती हैं, अलग अलग पार्टी की, अलग अलग विचारधारा की, अलग अलग सोच की होती है. कई बार क्षेत्रीय दलों की भी होती है. केंद्र में सरकारें कई बार मिली जुली आती है, कई बार एक दल की आती है. इस सब के हटकर अगर लॉ एंड ऑर्डर को अपनी चुनौतियों के लिए सुसज्ज बनाना है तो उसके लिए उसको जोड़ने वाली एक कड़ी चाहिए. अदरवाइज ये कड़ी की उपलब्धता नहीं है तो देश का लॉ एंड ऑर्डर बिखर जाएगा. और मैं मानता हूं कि 51 साल में बीपीआरएनडी ने देश में लॉ एंड ऑर्डर की दृष्टि से सभी राज्यों को जोड़ने वाली कड़ी का काम बहुत बखूबी किया है और अच्छे तरीके से.
On the second leg of his visit, Dr. S. Jaishankar held bilateral talks with Foreign Minister of Croatia, Gordon Grlic Radman. This is the first visit by the Indian Foreign Minister to Croatia. The External Affairs Minister has tweeted, and I quote him, "Fruitful talks with Croatia's Foreign Minister Grlic Radman, detailed exchanges on full range of bilateral cooperation, regional and global issues. Committed to working with him to take our ties to a higher level," unquote. And the Foreign Minister of Croatia, Gordon Grlic Radman, tweeted, and I quote, "Welcoming my colleague Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar to Zagreb in what is the first visit by an Indian Foreign Minister to Croatia. Productive exchange of views on bilateral relations and EU-India relations and other topics of mutual interest," unquote. And External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar also called on Prime Minister of Croatia, Andrej Plenković. He thanked Prime Minister Andrej for warmly receiving him in Zagreb. Both the leaders discussed opportunities to further expand bilateral cooperation, including in pharma, digital and infrastructure. The External Affairs Minister appreciated the Croatian Prime Minister's insights on pressing global issues, especially in Afghanistan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has topped a global leader approval ratings as per the latest survey by Morning Consult Political Intelligence, leaving behind US President Joe Biden, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson and others. According to the survey conducted among all adults, Prime Minister Modi received a stellar approval rating of 70%, while Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador was second with 64%. German Chancellor Angela Merkel bagged 52% and US President Joe Biden only 48% approval ratings. Morning Consult Political Intelligence is currently tracking the approval ratings for governmental leaders in Australia, Brazil, Canada, France, Germany, India, Italy, Japan, Mexico, South Korea, Spain and the United Kingdom and the United States of America. A high alert has been sounded in Bihar following heavy rain in the catchment areas of Gandak River in Nepal. Alert has been issued to all North Bihar districts as reports of heavy rain have been received from Pokhara district of Nepal. Pokhara has registered over 288 millimeters of rainfall yesterday. The water level in Gandak, Bagmati and Kosi rivers is expected to rise in the next 24 hours. All major rivers including the Ganga, the Gandak, Bagmati and Kosi are flowing above the danger mark at many places. 29 teams of the NDRF and the SDRF have been deployed in the affected districts to conduct rescue and relief operations. Medical teams have also been sent to give medical assistance in the flooded areas. Meanwhile, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath conducted an aerial survey of the flood-affected Siddharthnagar district of the state. The Chief Minister also distributed relief material to affected families at a camp in Siddharthnagar. The Chief Minister also interacted with flood victims and assured them of full governmental support. Assam witnessed a further improvement in the flood scenario. Number of flood affected people has come down to 2,71,128. The number of villages reeling underwater have also declined to below 1,200 under the 53 revenue circles in 22 districts. Presently, there are 54 relief and distribution centers across the state, sheltering about 3,900 people. Air bubble services have resumed between India and Bangladesh after 4 months suspension due to COVID-19 pandemic. The air bubble agreement will be enforced till the resumption of the scheduled international flights between the two countries. According to the terms of the air bubble agreement, passengers from India to Bangladesh will have to complete a 14-day home quarantine irrespective of their vaccination status. They are also required to be COVID negative to fly. Bangladeshi travellers on tourist visas are not allowed to travel to India under this arrangement. Australia is struggling to quell its worst wave of COVID-19, reported 1,756 infections on Saturday. Another round of high and official warned that the worst is yet to come, urging people to get vaccinated. Most of the cases were in New South Wales, which has been fighting the outbreak of highly infectious Delta variant since mid-June. The state reported 1,533 new cases and 4 deaths. Wilcannia in far west New South Wales has been one of the state's hardest hit areas, with a large indigenous population, many living in multi-generational households. Wilcannia reported 9 new cases. Some people in the town are now living in COVID-19 isolation accommodation to separate community members. And in the U.S., Hurricane Ida swamped through at least 4 states in the northeast United States, triggering torrential rains and flash floods. The death toll rose to 44. Large swaths of the affected region still remain waterlogged as officials struggle to provide an exact rundown of the situation. Meanwhile, U.S. President Joe Biden visited Louisiana, where more than 820,000 households are still without power. Biden said that hurricane reminded the United States that it has to speed up infrastructure construction. Well, thick smoke billowed above Brazil's Amazon jungle as the fire tore through butchered rainforests and discarded areas, littered the scorched earth like dead matchsticks, burnt and black. A witness saw vast burned and clear-cut areas on Wednesday and Thursday as the arc of the deforestation advanced deep into the jungle by the frontier town of Lebreia, the municipality with the most fires this year. Fires ramped up in the Brazilian rainforest in August, according to government data released this week, with fires for the month well above the historic average for the 3rd consecutive year under right-wing President Jair Bolsonaro. Thailand's Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha and 5 cabinet ministers survived a vote of no confidence in Parliament as activists planned more protests against the government. Prayut received 264 votes in favour of 200 against, 8 against. Health Minister Anuthan Virakul and 4 other cabinet ministers also survived the censure motion in similar fashion. The opposition needed 242 of the 482 parliamentary votes to oust the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, lawmakers over 4 days accused the government of mishandling the pandemic and criticized for severe economic impact. This is the 3rd censure motion that the government has survived. Several pro-democracy protests were held during the day. Recent rallies have turned violent, with security forces using tear gas, water cannon and rubber bullets against protesters who threw stones and firecrackers. The 28th edition of the Singapore-India Maritime Bilateral exercise SIMBAX concluded on Saturday. The 2-day exercise that started on September 2nd is the Indian Navy's longest uninterrupted bilateral maritime exercise with any foreign navy. Sustaining the continuity of this significant engagement despite the challenges of the ongoing pandemic further underscores the strength of bilateral defense ties between both countries. This year's edition of SIMBAX is also a special occasion as it takes place during the ongoing celebrations of the 75th year of India's independence. The SIMBAX 2021 is yet another demonstration of the mutual resolve on both sides to strengthen the bilateral partnership further in the years ahead. Well, talking about Paralympics now, it's really raining medals this time for India at the ongoing Tokyo Paralympics. A record number of medals that India bagged, a total of 17 medals in the ongoing Tokyo Paralympics. Let's take a look at the how this journey is proceeding in Tokyo.
India's gold rush continues at Tokyo Paralympics as Pramod Bhagat bags first ever gold medal in para badminton. Manoj Sarkar continued the legacy with winning a bronze in para badminton event that made its debut in Tokyo Paralympics this time. Pramod Bhagat, a four-time world champion gold medalist, defeated Great Britain's Daniel Bethel by 21-14 and 21-17 in 45 minutes. While Manoj Sarkar defeated Japan's Taisuke Fujihara in straight games 22-20, 21-13 to bag second medal of para badminton and make a total tally of 17 medals for the country at the ongoing Tokyo Paralympics. President of India Ramnath Kovind extended best wishes to both para badminton medalists. In a series of tweets, he said, and I quote, Pramod Bhagat, the badminton star of India, ranked #1 in the world, has won the gold medal at Paralympics. This is especially joyous for Indians as the national anthem was played at the podium. Heartiest congratulations. May you sustain your proven excellence, unquote. While congratulating bronze medalist, the president tweeted, and I quote, Congratulations to Manoj Sarkar for winning the bronze medal in badminton at Paralympics. This is a praiseworthy achievement indeed. My best wishes that you bring more glory to the nation in the future, unquote. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also congratulated Pramod Bhagat and Manoj Sarkar on winning gold and bronze respectively. In a tweet he said, and I quote, Pramod Bhagat has won the hearts of the entire nation. He is a champion whose success will motivate millions. He showed remarkable resilience and determination. Congratulations to him for winning the gold in badminton. Best wishes to him for his future endeavours, unquote. While congratulating Manoj Sarkar, the Prime Minister tweeted, and I quote, Overjoyed by Manoj Sarkar's wonderful performance. Congrats to him for bringing home the prestigious bronze medal in badminton. Wishing him the very best for the times ahead. #Paralympics, #praise for para, unquote. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also congratulated Pramod Bhagat and Manoj Sarkar over the phone on winning historic medals at the Paralympics. He expressed joy that Indian athletes are excelling in different sports and that the spirit of confidence among the players is remarkable. Union Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports Anurag Singh Thakur also expressed happiness while congratulating the medalists. In a tweet, he said, Gold. Pramod Bhagat scripts history to bag first ever gold medal in men's singles SL3 event at Paralympics. A remarkable achievement. The four-time BWF champion adds a Paralympics gold to his name. While congratulating Manoj Sarkar, the sports minister tweeted, and I quote, Manoj bags bronze. We are witnessing Paralympics history in the making. Men's singles SL3 bronze, India's 17th medal at Tokyo Paralympics. #cheer for India, #praise for para, #Paralympics, unquote. Speaking on the victory, Paralympic gold medalist Pramod Bhagat dedicated his medal to his late parents.
Daniel Bethel एक बहुत ही अच्छा खिलाड़ी है और इससे लास्ट टाइम में इससे हारा हुआ था जापान टेस्ट इवेंट में और यही सेम वेदर था, सेम स्टेडियम था और सेम कोर्ट भी था। तो वहाँ पर जब मैं खेला तो मेरी जो गलतियाँ थी उसको मैंने लर्न किया और मैंने यहाँ एग्जीक्यूट किया। मैं पहला सेट जीतने के बावजूद 11-4 से डाउन चल रहा था, लेकिन मैंने उसको नेगेटिव में नहीं लिया और एक पॉइंट के फोकस किया और फूक के मैंने एक पॉइंट लिया और फाइनली आपके पास रिजल्ट ये है। ये मेरे मम्मी और पापा जो कि आज दुनिया में नहीं है, उनका ड्रीम था कि मैं ओलंपिक में जाऊं।
With this, India has registered a record number of 17 medals in the ongoing Tokyo Paralympics that has etched history in the books of sports across the country. Sports Desk, DD India.
And earlier on the day, India bagged two medals in shooting. 19-year-old Manish Narwal finished on top of the podium in mixed 50 meters pistol SH1 final, followed by Singraja Dana at the second place for a silver medal. More in this report.
India brought its third gold of the Tokyo Paralympics when Manish Narwal finished on top of the podium in mixed 50-meter pistol SH1 final, followed by Singraja Dana at the second place for a silver medal. Shooter Manish Narwal shot a total of 218.2 points with a Paralympic record. At the same time, Singraja Dana also did exceptionally well to win silver medal by scoring a total of 216.7 points. President Ramnath Kovind extended his best wishes to Manish Narwal. In a tweet, he said, "Young Manish Narwal has done India proud by winning a shooting gold medal and making the tricolour fly high at the Paralympics. You've shown immense talent and dedication at a very young age. Heartiest congratulations. May you win many laurels in the future." Prime Minister Narendra Modi talked over the phone to both the medal winners after their achievement. The Prime Minister took to Twitter and also congratulated Manish Narwal and Singraj Adana for their outstanding performance at the Tokyo Paralympics. Congratulating Narwal, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "Glory from the Tokyo Paralympics continues. Great accomplishment by the young and stupendously talented Manish Narwal. His winning the gold medal is a special moment for Indian sports. Congratulations to him. Best wishes for the coming times." Congratulating Singraj Adana, the Prime Minister said, "The outstanding Singraj Adana does it again. He wins yet another medal, this time in the mixed 50-meter pistol SH1 event. India rejoices due to his feat. Congrats to him. Wishing him the very best for the future endeavours." Unquote. Union Sports Minister Anurag Singh Thakur also tweeted and congratulated both medal winners. Soon after winning the gold for India, the family of Manish Narwal indulged in a festive mode and danced in joy.
इन बच्चों ने चुनाव की बात ठान लिया था कि भी हम एक नॉर्मल कैटेगरी से ज़्यादा मेडल लेके आएंगे और वो इन लड़कों ने, इन बच्चों ने, इन लड़कियों ने वो करके दिखाया और हमें, हमारे पूरे देश को, हमारे प्रदेश को, इन बच्चों पे, मनीष पे बहुत बड़ा गर्व है।
मुझे जो ये मेडल मिला है इसके लिए मैं अपने परिवार, कोचेस, समाज और समस्त भारतवासियों का तहे दिल से शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ।
Singraj Adana's family was in joy after the parachuter clinched his second Paralympic medal.
मैं आज काफ़ी खुश हूँ क्योंकि आप लोगों के प्यार की बदौलत मैंने दोबारा से जीत हासिल करी है और जिसका मेरा हमेशा सपना था राष्ट्रीय झंडा को सबसे ऊंचा देखना, वो आज मेरा सपना पूरा हो गया।
Manish Narwal, who's merely 19 years old, broke the Paralympic record to win gold in P4 mixed 50-meter pistol SH1, while this was the second Paralympic medal for Singraj in the same Paralympic event. Sports Desk, DD India.
And Union Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports Anurag Singh Thakur felicitated the Paralympics Tokyo 2020 silver medalist Mariyappan and his coach in New Delhi on Saturday. Speaking on the occasion, the sports minister said that Mariyappan Thangavelu has made the country proud with his performance in Rio and now in Tokyo.
We have seen in Olympics, now in Paralympics, how Indian athletes have done extremely well. Let me congratulate Mr. Mariyappan for his outstanding performance. He has won the silver medal for India. He has done us proud in Rio as well, now in Tokyo. Let me congratulate all the Paralympians, especially Mariyappan, for being here, and congratulations. We are so proud of you. Thank you.
The global wellness markets are set to rise manifold post-COVID-19, and Indian startups are set to make a significant mark in the sector. My colleague Ajay Mishra caught up with an emerging wellness startup, Jogani Wellness. The company has acquired 16 patents. Take a look.
The global wellness market is $1.5 trillion, and there are many Indian startups who are actually eyeing a pie of this huge share of wellness market. We have with us a startup from Mumbai, the founder of Jogani Wellness, Mahesh Jogani. Thank you very much, sir. How did this idea came in your mind about, focusing on the wellness market?
I see yoga become a billion-dollar business in a couple of years, and I follow traditional wellness therapy from that time. And I attend one seminar which is on success story of traditional Chinese therapy. And I make my mind to enter into modernization of Indian traditional wellness therapy. That is,
we are older than the China.
Far older, far, yeah. We are 10,000 year old culture, and we have very diverse, wellness practices like yoga. Right. If yoga can become a billion-dollar business, why not other? So that is, our work area in Jogani Wellness.
So I can see one of the products that you have come with, and I would like to focus on this. What is exactly this product is doing, and how this gentleman is going to benefit?
Ajay ji, what we did is we modernized 3-4 alternative therapies in very easy, economical and convenient method for detoxification. So this we call detox and pain relief device, which is based on acupressure, shake therapy, that is Ayurveda, and through sweating it detox.
And then what are other products and services that you are working on, and can you share some of the ideas that you will be focusing on in the future?
Ajay, we got many patents in this area, modernization of traditional wellness therapy. Like this device work on body. So we have one device which we call relaxation therapy device, which work on mind. So in a busy corporate, software techies, so they all feel stress. That device based on Indian Saptaka, Sare Gama Padani. You just play it and magic. 2 minutes you relax.
Finally, in terms of numbers, where is your startup right now, and how do you see its future going forward?
Ajay, we are into early success mode. So we have very good business in 3-4 places like Kokilaben Ambani Hospital. They are selling our device in a very good way, and we are selling our product through alternative therapist. So I'm looking for a big order from international wellness resorts as well.
Thank you very much, Maheshji, and I wish you all the best in your new venture. And we hope that this Indian startup ecosystem, which is mature now, is going to make a huge pie in the wellness market, and not only wellness market, the solutions that the world is seeking for, the Indian startups are going to make a big share out of that.
And that's it then in News Night for tonight. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.